Welcome, Lebogang.
Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
A titan? What?
I don't know about that.
Lebogang, before we dive into some business questions, I'd love to hear your origin story. So where do you come from? And you can start from wherever you want to, whether it's birth, whether it's school, whether it's varsity, wherever you want to start.
Kemfana Pitori. So I'm from Soshanguve, grew up in Soshanguve. Okay, let me keep the context business. So I started my first business in 2009. I was 19, fresh out of high school. I matriculated 2008, do calculations there. So I matriculated 2008. And then the first business in 2009 was not a business because, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs would say that in high school I used to sell sweets, you know. That was not me. You know, it was a business because of consequence. When I mean consequence is that 2009, I was a youth leader at my church in Soshanguve. We used to have youth camps in December. But because of the demographic of people that we had in the church, especially from the young people perspective, a lot of people could not afford the 700 Rand to go to camp. So my youth pastors tasked me to put together a fundraiser. So believe it or not, I used to be a hip-hop dancer.
Ooh, okay.
I used to cramp.
Let's show us.
After you have a child and get married, things don't move as much.
It's different kind of cramps.
So, long story short, because I was in a dance environment, I knew quite a lot of dancers in Johannesburg, all over the country, basically. So we put together this event in Soshanguve at my church. We had dancers from Cape Town, dancers from Johannesburg, Mpumalanga, coming through. And that event, we were able to take about 70 young people to church, to youth camp because of the profit we made. One of my youth pastors is like, but Lebo, this is a business. I'm like, what do you mean? You have a captive audience with a product that they're willing to pay for, and you're making profit. I was like, oh, never thought about that. And then I went into business with my then girlfriend, which was a bad decision. And then that business closed down 2 years later, 2011. And that purely was because Lebogang did not understand that the business money is not Lebogang's money. So we'll do events, make profit, and I'll be in a restaurant sitting like that, swipe, you know. And then next month you start from scratch, you know. And eventually it caught up, right? Eventually it caught up, and I could no longer sustain this business, and I had to close it. But because of that, because of those events, I had met the marketing team from ATA, which is now Telco Mobile. And then they introduced me to their marketing agency. I went to pitch myself there because I taught myself how to design and things like that because of the events. And I started my job there as a junior creative. Quite simply, my job was when the CEO was going to pitch to new clients, he would send me his presentations. My job was to make them look pretty. And he's Afrikaner, so English was a problem. So I would fix his grammar as well here and there. But also I would learn how he put together strategies. Eventually, he started inviting me to the pitches. And I'd see, oh, this is how you pitch. This is how you sell. Oh, this is how... And then long story short, a year later, I was promoted to director of strategy. My main accounts were ATA, Lenovo, South Africa, Telkom Business Mobile, quite a lot. Those were my main accounts. And but here's the thing. When I started working there, it was not because I wanted a job. I wanted to learn. I needed to learn business. I understood that I don't know business. And thinking of going to school, I thought about it. Sitting there for 3 years writing exams. One money. So even when I started working at the agency, the CEO, who also became my mentor, eventually said to me, because I was studying marketing at that time, okay, let me put it right. I was one of the accounting people. So I did register for BCom accounting. Very quickly, I recognized this. Me, no. So I changed them to marketing, you know. So, and then when I started working at the agency, I think it was my second year in marketing. And my mentor, CEO, said to me, Lebo, you will learn here in 3 months what you will learn in 3 years with that course, practically doing it. And I left. And so when I started working, I have a vision that I only work here for 3 years. So 2015 was my last year. 2014, I quit. Now, this is where the problem then starts. I was living in Fourways because the agency was in Fourways. So I moved from Soshanguve to Fourways. And where I lived in Fourways was right next door to Indaba Hotel. Every weekend, Indaba Hotel had seminars, and it was packed. And I used to attend, And being from Soshanguve, I'm like, there's a market. No one is doing this in Soshanguve. There's a market. Quit. Started this eventing business. Got some of my other mentors. I raised 200,000. This was when DJ was launching More Fire. So there was this whole trend of Black Men Create, So I created this event. I called it Black Men Create. In Soshanguve, where I did my first ever event, And we brought DJ Zbu. His fee was about 40K, which was discounted. So I was like, discount 40K, but it's fine. But it was 40K out of that 200,000, And we then pushed the price to a bare minimum of $80. Literally, that was not even break even. We were introducing ourselves to the market to get the feel of it. We were hoping for about 1,000 people. Well, only 122 people. I remember the numbers correctly. 122 people attended that event. Out of this 122, 67 were from Joburg. So even in the townships that I was marketing to, the Pretorian townships, Hashem was like probably 5 nyana there or something, I even had a guy coming from Mpumalanga who even got lost. My team had to drive and meet him on the highway so that he can come there. And I lost the 200,000 at the first event, Then one of my mentors is a very optimistic guy. He's like, no, let's do it again. With whose man? My man. I'm like, sharp. So 2 months later, we organized another one, this time in Harangua, not Soshanguve. Even worse, 20 people attended. Lost that whole 100,000. And I think the biggest thing for me there, we're talking about blunders, right? One of the things I haven't heard anyone talk about, and which is fine, but it is the emotional aspect of those blunders. Because we can deal with it and go through it and rebuild ourselves. But sometimes the internal work, it never goes away, right? And I tell you, I kid you not, the Tuesday before the Saturday where we had the event in Arankua, my car got repossessed. And I was one of the speakers. So I am on stage talking to aspirant entrepreneurs. Come into this thing. It's great. You'll be a success. Knowing very well that what was my biggest thing? It was not the repossession. It's what it represented for me. And what it represented was that I come from an environment where I was doing multi-million rand campaigns. And yet when I start my own company, I can't even make 5,000 rand to pay a car. That for me was a huge blow. Because my view of myself is I'm Lebogang Mokubela. I am the favorite of God. This was me. And business for me is not something I do. It's not even a passion. I truly believe business for me is a calling. My wife will tell you, if there's nothing else we talk about business. Sometimes she gets irritated, because I see business everywhere and in anything, right? You can wake me up at 3 a.m. Lebo, what is this? I will give you everything, right? And so that whole reposition was such a huge blow for me. And I sat with the last 2,000 rand in my bank account. One guy that attended the seminar called me and he said, hey, dude, I don't know why you're doing events, but I don't know you. But one of the things I've seen is that the way this event was marketed, I've never seen anyone in the township marketing anything like the way you marketed. Are you not wasting your time in eventing and not doing marketing? Here's a guy who was just a director of strategy in a marketing agency. I never thought about starting a marketing agency. I followed a passion, seminars. Is it my brother who said passion doesn't pay? Me and you, I get it. Passion doesn't pay at all. The reason why it doesn't pay because you're blinded to the truth, right? You are passionate about it. So even when the market is telling you that this is not us. Pitori is about Amapiano and what, and that's the market. I remember one person showing a poster to a flyer explaining the seminar. They saw DJ Zbu's face, seminar. They said, oh, is this party called seminar? I'm like, yo. And then right there I understood. I'm in trouble. So September, 9th of September 2015, with my last 2,000 Rand, I built a website, I created a logo, and I called it Lebogang Agency. I launched my agency, Lebogang Mokubela, simple. You know, in the marketing industries, YNR, Young and Roberts, McCann. So I can't say Mokubela, it's very hard. Because my vision is international, it's not just South Africa. So I'm thinking a guy sitting in Germany, Mokubela, is going to be tough, you know. So I was like, okay, Lemok, sounds like JC Leroux, you know, it's like Musipika Fall. So I launched Lebogang Agency. And then 2 years later, 2017, I landed my first JC listed company, Redefine Properties. That's when we started working with shopping centers. That's when I made my first R1 million. It was great. Blunder number 2. Actually, it's blunder number 1. There was a failure. It was not a blunder. Blunder number 1, Lebogang started making money. Lebogang is not yet married. He's still dating that yellow bone. And so, and then he still has township mentality. So Lebogang, with the money that he's making, goes and buys a C63, 6.2 liter AMG, 4-pipe OES. Goes and buys a C63, living in Sosha. Most of my meetings are in Sandton. I remember one time we had a meeting they were building Semintuli Mall. The company was building Semintuli Mall, Katlehong. And we drove with my wife. She was part of the team at that time of my marketing agency. And we drove to Katlehong. That day I spent 2,500 Rand just on petrol. It was only later I realized that every day I was spending a minimum of 1,500 just on petrol. This car costed me 12,000 Rand every month, excluding insurance. That was just to pay the car, not petrol. Because money is coming in, you don't see it, right? What's 1 Rand to 1,000 Rand? You know, but the 1 Rand, they pack up. And when I was supposed to now be taking this money and reinvesting in my agency to build more capacity, Lebogang was living. Yes. And I was everywhere, you know. We would go on holidays. My wife didn't complain. She was the beneficiary. You know, so we would go on holidays and we would buy stuff, you know. And then... And then blunder number 2 is I lost sight of what was important. That when one of my clients, one shopping center, we had launched a hub for entrepreneurs in Semi-Mark Square, which was basically taking a vacant store and repurposing it as a working environment for entrepreneurs to drive more feet and get more money into the mall, which worked amazingly well. My blunder was when I came up with that idea, I didn't charge them for the idea on the basis that I hoped that they will use me to roll it out to other shopping centers. Guess what? They rolled it out without me. When I heard, the ego is like, all righty, do me, like this, taking chances. Went to a litigation lawyer, started litigation case against the whole Redefine. You know, they dragged that case until I was owing my lawyers over 200,000 Rand. And this was a span of 6 weeks. With just back and forths. That killed my agency. That bankrupted me totally. Number 1, I lost that client. It was 80% of my revenue was coming from Redefine. So lost Redefine. Number 2, I'm taking 200,000 to pay lawyers. I have a whole 63 in the garage there. You know? And there was a total failure. 2019 came and everything.
Can we park there for a second?
Oh, sorry.
Can we just pause for a second? Because I think there's so much there, right? You've already identified, I think, 2 things that's important. The frivolousness of youth and naivety, right? And not having a mindset or having defined what success looks like for yourself. So the vroom vroom was in the garage because you needed to show people that 100%. You were doing all of the things, right?
100%, yeah.
And then the other is that you shot yourself in the face by going after a client that was generating 80% of your revenue. So what I'd like us to pause on is that ego moment.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Have you sat quietly and immersed yourself in that moment to understand how did I go from being able to afford a 12,000 rand car a month to shooting myself in the face because of my ego. So I'd really love you to just to share, because I think especially for the males in the room, I think females are less egotistical. We can be. We can also operate from our ego. But we can operate from our ego. But I think less so than men.
Yeah.
Right? So just let's park at that for a second. What fueled that ego moment for you?
I think one of the things that I did wrong is I lost hold of why I came into starting this business. It was, as much as the conversation with Levi, the guy who called me, is like, why don't you be in business? But one of the reasons why I chose to keep my business in Soshanguve and brand it as the award-winning township-based marketing agency, the only township-based marketing agency that's doing business with JSE-listed companies. And the vision was that because I come from an agency background where these brands are marketing to townships. And when they market to townships, like, dance for us, here's a free T-shirt. And I found it very undermining. I'm from the township. You want me to support your brand with my money, you're going to give me a stress ball. You are the one causing stress. So, you're my brother. So I didn't like that. So the whole thing for me to start the mock was to build up that thing to say it is possible to be a township entrepreneur and not be a classical township entrepreneur that has a car wash or a chisanyama. You can do business in the mainstream, being in the township. That was the whole vision. And I was so captivated by this vision. Then I lost sight when money came. So I moved away from that, and it was more about, especially when people celebrate you. I think one of the biggest things is to learn to cut out the noise. Now that you're this guy who's winning awards, my first award I won it in 2016, a year after starting the agency. Standard Bank gave me the top young entrepreneur of the year. You know, second award, my agency won top service business in Gauteng. You know, so now everyone is celebrating you, and you're taking all this in. Because here's me, I still have the trauma of the car that was repossessed. I still have the trauma of I don't see myself as that Lebogang. So now when you're celebrating me, I'm seeing myself in the mirror of your words, not in the mirror of who I am. And so I was very aware. After everything, I sat down with myself and I asked myself, why did I do the things that I did? And I understood it was that. It was just a thing of I lost sight of what is it that I started this business on and for what. Yeah. Yeah, and it led to all these other things. It's also, sorry, just this last part. Sure. Also the people that surrounded me. You know, most of the time we talk about be careful about the people that surround you. I think one element we don't talk about is not so much are they bad people. They can be good people, but it's their mindsets that are a problem. Yeah. So if they are all about nice life, vibes, my piano vibes. Even when money is there, that's all they are thinking about. So every weekend there's a place to go. Instead of, hey, dude, I have an extra 100,000. How can we reinvest this? You know, last week I bought this. It's generating an X amount every month. You know, those conversations, they are not bad people, but their mindsets are a problem for me. Because now when I'm a growth person, it's like the Bible says good character is corrupted by bad company. Not good character by bad character. People, yeah. It says bad company. Because once you're in the midst of them, you start doing what they do. You can't be a man and you are married. One of the things I believe in. You can't be married and have single friends. Yeah. Single people do things that you can't do. And the more you are with them, you will eventually do them. Because it is essentially the company. That for me is I totally believe it. Because I can't be with, if I say I don't drink alcohol and you're drinking every day with me, eventually I want to taste what you are tasting. Then the next thing I'm drinking 5 bottles more than you. Yeah. You know, I'll do it more. So
I like that. So I like that, Lebo. It's so important to check your community, to check those that you are surrounded by, because they say that you are the net worth of the 5 people that you are surrounded by. And so it doesn't matter how much you're balling. If the people around you are not as ballerific as you are, they will bring down your net worth, right? Yeah. The other thing I liked what you said is that you had hoped that they would pull you in once you shared your concepts with them. You had hoped. You didn't ask. you had hoped. Right? And so just like passion doesn't pay the bills, in your case, hope didn't pay the bills.
I think it's where the hope was stemming from. It was stemming from, in my view, I didn't want to seem, because here's the thing, I signed this client in September. By October, I already made $1 million. These guys were doing projects for days. And somewhere in me, I was not comfortable with going and saying, hey, by the way, I'm giving you this concept. I'm going to charge you whatever amount for the concept. Because the concept was not part of the brief. The brief was give us a free Wi-Fi launch campaign. But in us doing that, we realized, but you have 3 vacant stores that are not bringing you money at all. Why not repurpose them? So instead of selling that concept, I just believed in the fact that they will have good morals, and repay my kindness with kindness. They didn't. So yeah, it was being naive.
There we go. And I think to go biblical, ask and you will receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened, right?
100%.
And I think it applies in every area of our lives. That you can't really just sit around and hope. You have to ask. And to really, and I think especially for the women in the room, we have to get really good at asking for what we want and not to self-abandon because you're hoping or self-abandon because of trauma, but really to ask for what you want. Yeah. And it's difficult. It's hard if you come from a background where you're not used to asking. You hope that people will return your kindness. So I'd love to encourage everyone in the room, ask for what you want.
100%.
You were going to say you were going to move on to the next blunder?
I forgot. When the mind is working, I forgot what I wanted to say.
But we stopped at you litigating.
Oh, yeah. So 2019, the whole business, the whole agency collapsed. 2019, it did not collapse. We still had one client left. But things are not moving. It totally collapsed in 2020. Because remember, my main business was shopping centers. Then lockdown happened. Shopping centers were not working. And how shopping centers work, your marketing budget comes from the tenants. So if most people were not trading, there is no marketing budget. Therefore, literally overnight, we went from whatever amount to zero because of lockdown. Then 2020, my wife and I locked down. We sat and okay, we have a marketing agency. We're brilliant at what we do. What is happening in the environment that we can take advantage of? Here's the thing. This had nothing to do with being entrepreneurial and seeing opportunities. I'm married. I have a daughter. Money must come. It was literally to survive. So we saw that online shopping was booming. Because of my cell phone business, I had connections with the Chinese. I was like, all righty, give me catalogs of sneakers. Let's do an online store. But we're going to do a drop shipping strategy, business model. I'm not going to buy stock from you. I'm going to get in orders. I'm going to buy pre-orders and then pay you. You bring it in. I ship it to my customers. 100%. We launched in June 2020. By July, we made the first 100,000. 8 months later, we made R1 million. Did well again. Blunder again. Guys, I have to be honest.
Thank you.
I have to be honest.
Serve the honesty.
I have to be honest. I have to be honest. Blunder again in the sense where we did not reinvest again. But this time, the reinvestment is that we did not foresee. We all thought that online shopping would be the main thing. Even when lockdown is eased, everyone will still continue. But forgetting that more than 20%, only 20% of this country is banked. The other 80% doesn't have access to bank accounts. How do you buy online without a bank account? You can't. So that's why still retail stores are still thriving. The whole notion that retail is dying, we're only doing online, it depends on who you're targeting. If you're targeting the top 10%, then 100% you're good there. But if you're targeting general South Africa, you need either a retail strategy or an omni-channel, both online and retail. That's why when people talk about Batu and Drip, and they're like, that's stupid. I'm like, you are stupid. Because you don't understand the demographics of this country. But anyway, we didn't think about when this would come, what does it mean? So we invested in the wrong things. We invested on the online retailing. We didn't invest in carrying stock. We continued with our pre-order model. So it worked for a season. When the country opened, that business model failed immediately. And because we had reinvested money in the wrong stuff, we had no money to now go and reinvest in opening stores. So for the past year, all we've been doing is restructuring this company. For the past year, all we've been doing is restructure. It's only now that we are almost ready to relaunch again, and with a different product line, with a different strategy and things like that. So the reason why I'm sharing this Blunders, don't worry, my sister. I say Blunders like, yo, where now? Don't worry. There's light. There's light. Don't worry. It's not doom and gloom everywhere. I just have to... the point is Blunders, right?
Yeah.
So I must share my Blunders.
And we're here for it.
Exactly. And I don't like sugar coating. Yeah, sugar causes diabetes. But anyway, the lesson with that for us was also the long-term understanding. You know, sometimes the first question you're supposed to ask me, which I will answer now, is that, and I see the time. The question is, when we think about business, about having a product or a service and then building this business and launching into the market, on paper, it's like that. But in reality, it's not usually like that. And one of the things we found is that when what I found, when you don't understand the market that you are truly talking to, I can ask all of us here with our business models, who are you targeting? If you sell hair, you'll say all women. But here's my thing. There are women that have short hair. There are women that do cheese-scope. There are women that go to Legends and do lines, you know. There are women that would rather just plait their hair, all natural, gang and whatever. So when you say all women, is that now you are throwing a blanket in a room full of people and you're hoping whoever it lands on is the right market. And it lands on me, I'm like, but I'm a guy, you know, kind of thing. And I don't buy what you are selling. And then we then say black people don't support. No. Sometimes it's not that. You are targeting the wrong people with the wrong thing. That's the main concept. So one of the things we learned also from this e-commerce business is that the people that we are targeting, initially we wanted a purely online strategy. Then we started realizing people, when we opened the WhatsApp chat, 60% of our sales came from WhatsApp, irrespective of our online store, because that's the demographic. So he has cash. He has to go to the ATM and deposit into your bank. He just goes to your website to see what he likes and screenshots and comes. So the main thing is for me is that really understand who you're targeting. If you can't explain to me in one sentence of at least five words who you are targeting, you've already, well, not failed, but you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have a hard time. When I launched this phone in 2019, this phone, we knew who we were targeting with this phone. So even when people on social media are like, hi, there's iPhones these days. This iPhone is 128 megapixel. You're going to come here with 10 megapixel. It's not going to work. It's like, yes, this was not created for you. You can afford an iPhone. It's okay. This was designed for a guy who only had 2,000 Rand, but wants the same functionality of a top-end phone. That's who we're targeting. So when you talk, all I hear is noise because you are not my customer. So now you get offended by people who are not even your customer because you're not even clear about who is it that you're targeting. So the main lesson for me in all the businesses and all the blunders, be clear about things. Be clear about why you are building your business. Be clear about who you're building it for. And also one of the things that separate yourself from your business. I think one of the things about us as black entrepreneurs is that we build this business based on us. If I ask what business you're in, most of the time they'll tell you it's because I'm passionate. Why are you in this business? Because I'm passionate. I'm not passionate about marketing. I'm good at marketing. I'm passionate about business. I'm passionate about teaching. I'm passionate about speaking. But I'm not passionate about marketing. I can do marketing and extremely well. Trust. Don't doubt that. I can do marketing very well. But I'm not passionate about it. And so it's you need to be clear on who you're building this business for. It's not for you. You are the beneficiary of the success of that business. Your product, when you look at the business model, you look at customer segment, who you're targeting. The next thing you look at is value proposition, value that you're proposing to the person, not to you. So I can't sell you 26-inch because I like 26-inch. I sell you what you prefer. You know, they're saying the customer is always right. That saying is wrong in the sense that it's incomplete. The complete saying is the customer is always right in the matters of preference or in the matters of taste. So he's right because I prefer black shoes instead of red. So you are selling red and I can't buy because I prefer black. Not to say they are always right and they can take advantage of it. That's not what it means. So, but what the point of that saying is that you build a business for the people you're catering for. If people, one of the things we learned with this device is that because we only did the blue, because Lebogang likes the blue, it's so nice, gradient. One thing we quickly learned, the biggest selling phones are all black. That's why the second device we are launching is black. Because we learned that the market doesn't really care, or the statistics show you that it's not about the fancy colors. They like the black phones. And for a simple reason, you can see the scratches on this one. Would you be able to see it on a black phone? That's the thing.
What I like about what you're saying, Lebo, is definitely to listen to the market. You have to, on a continuous basis, right? So not just before launch or post-launch, but on a continuous basis, because they will tell you exactly what they want. And so it's crucial. It's crucial as an entrepreneur, as a founder, to keep listening. And the fact that you do that so well means that you can pivot well.
100%.
So now you're pivoting to black phones.
100%.
I think maybe Steve Jobs was the only one that could get away with they don't know what they want. Right? So we're going to give them an iPod and we're going to give them the iPhone.
Yeah.
He was probably the only one that could really get away with that. I think the rest of us really need to, and especially in the digital space, it's so easy to get feedback from your market, right? It's so easy to get feedback from your consumers and to use that feedback and to immerse yourself in it and to pivot based on the feedback when necessary. Not to be stubborn that I feel this is going to work. We think it's going to work. I know Shoshanguve. I know Garankuwa, right? And the market's like, nah, fam, you don't. You know?
Yeah.
So it's so important.
I think, I was having this conversation with my wife the other day to say, most of the time when you are too emotionally invested, you depict feedback as criticism. So when they give you feedback, especially because you don't like the feedback, because they are talking to what you like about your product, then, like, for example, this new brand, Galaxy Boy, that's doing amazingly well. There's a lady who wrote on Twitter to say the shoes are not comfortable, whatever. I have a problem with that lady from a customer perspective, but what she's saying is good feedback. To say the reruns of the next shoes that we're making, let's focus on comfort, because the focus now is on quality and design. But what is equally important for the customer is comfort. So let's now focus on comfort. Why does Crocs sell so much? It's an ugly shoe. I don't want it. My wife likes it, I don't. But it's because of the comfort. They even sell that thing that you would wear, you think you're going to wear it once. You'll wear it every day. Because they know what they're selling is comfort, right? So take the emotions out of business. I think they spoke a lot about that today.
Yeah.
And take feedback as feedback, not criticism. You'll be able to filter when someone is just being unkind. You know, you'll be able to filter. But take the feedback to say, okay, there's 5 people are talking about the same thing. Surely there's a problem. If it's one in a blue moon and like, we'll look at it. But if people are all talking about the same thing, then surely that thing is a problem. So look at it and improve it. I'm closing because I see it says time up. In conclusion, one of the other things, guys, that I think we need to adopt as a mindset in business is our job is to serve in business. Yeah. Your profitability and the sustainability of your business is based on how well you're able to serve the people that you're willing to serve. Ideas are useless when ideas are not there to serve anyone. It's easy for me to come up with an idea and say, oh, I'm looking at this seat. What if the legs were sitting like this? It would be different from this one. Because that's what we do with ideas. We want to be different. But is that different serving you sitting there? When I'm sitting, I don't care about the legs, right? I need to understand what is it that about seats, that the current seats that are there are not helping. Maybe there are people with back issues and they can't really sit back. They sit in an ergonomic manner. Yeah. Can I design a chair that supports my back for people that have back problems? So even when you market it, you're not marketing it as a home decor thing. It's a chair for back problems. Simple. You are clear. about that. You know, Green Cross, that they sell shoes for people with...
the old people.
Yes. With foot problems, you know. Lebogang will never go into Green Cross. But does that mean that business will fail? No. There's a market for people that have issues with that, right? So our job is to serve. And that's why I'm saying to you, understanding of the market is one of the biggest things that you must be the greatest at knowing your market. Steve Jobs was good because he understood the market. So that's why he was able to see the things that even themselves they couldn't see, because he understood the market beyond anyone. If you can really understand and take time to really understand, I think a lot of our problems is we work too much in the business and not on. You know, so we are always operational, doing this, collecting invoices, sending bouncers, and all these things. And we forget that there's a business that you need to build, right? And that's where then you start understanding who your customer is, and then you serve. And even with customer service, you don't need to teach about customer service when you know what servanthood is. I can serve you well when my heart is to serve. Absolutely. You don't need to teach me about customer service, because if I'm serving you on the basis of knowledge of customer service, it's not genuine. I'm just doing customer, I have to smile. And you can see that the smile is not genuine. But when a person is genuine, like the moment that you walk into the store, even without them saying anything, you're like, wow, I love this lady, or I love this guy, because he's genuine in the understanding I'm here to serve, right? So it's that, really inculcate that in your business and in the way you see business, serve, and the market will reward you.
Lebo, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Deeply, deeply appreciated. I think one of the main things that you've said today, which I'd also like to encourage everyone with, is to build, not to survive your business, but to build it. And once you start building, or you have a mindset of building, the emotions go out of the window. And when you have that mindset to build, emotions are gone, and you're able to listen to feedback and pivot where you need to based on that feedback.
100%.
So let's adopt a mindset to build things.